And the next verse, 34. 35. There is something, it's very important, 3 things. Would you like to write it down? Reason for cause. Okay, I will just first read this one, okay? There are the reasons that are the results and natural reasons when a thing is not observed or its opposite. It seems. Something is negated for the reason that it cannot be observed. Like this, there are 3 types of evidence in alls. The 3 types of the evidence. The 3 types of the evidence. What are them? First one is maybe evidence. You can to say evidence or reason, okay? Evidence for cause. Evidence, nature sign. Evidence, no observation sign. Or you can to say the reason for cause and nature sign, no observation sign. And these 3, and then these 3 are there is I said is the reason for the cause, okay? Reason for the cause. I a little bit confused, but in the clearly to say in our book in these sentences, there are reasons that are the result. Maybe it's a reason for the result. Maybe reason for the cause. Okay, we can to sit more to study. And then is the natural reasons. Reason for the natural. And then is the reason not observed. No observation signs. And this 3 type of the evidence. Now it is what this is like a and it's the most important direct the phenomena and how you can to establish. First, to connect to our first, what are the 3 we call the 3 mode, okay? And 3 mode and 3 type of the evidence. Evidence means the smoke is the evidence for the fire. Smoke is the sign, evidence of the fire. Why you say here these signs? Because when we look the signal, the signs of the smoke, and it's showing the evidence of the fire. And this is like, we say the first out these three modes. Which one is? Yes, the feature of the subject. The feature of the subject. And then is the reason, natural reasons. Natural reason. Natural reason, it is, we have apply the three mode. This is the natural reason. For example, when the signal of the smoke, according that, we can to say the positive logic provisions to say there is the fire. And then it's like, why you say it's like this? Because of the smoke. And then you say the smoke is how you can to realize it, how you understand the fire in the behind. Why you establish, why you say it's like definitively behind there is the fire? Means because there is the smoke. And the same as the, there is, it's in Europe we have this kind of examples here. You're searching for the waters, then it's like, but maybe foggy, maybe difficult to find, but some you find the water birds. And it's making the signs, and around there is the water. You see the water birds, surely here is the waters. And someone says like, why you say it's definitively water here in this round? Because look, there is the flying the water birds. And according to that, then I can choose definitively futures, there is the waters. And therefore, this is the evidence. Because it's now we are talking about the, these inference, valid things. For example, impermanent. And also it's like very much indirect things are. For example, the result of the karma, causalities. And also, like there are something many just cannot work, just work through the mentally and not kind of physically impossible things. And then this through the mentally and very much in fear and inferences. And then is how we can to show the proofs. And if we analyze perfectly this kind of the perfect science, perfect of the feature of the subjects. And we understand this we generally we call the like kind of, how do you say it's like experiment, expert. You can do some persons, experiments all the time is, if I may do like this, which kind of result? And like, for example, our science, they all the time searching experiment and different materials to like kind of doing, if you do like this, result like this kind of happens. And then it's like they are telling to us, like same as the weather forecast. And also it's like there are many things, this also exactly the medicines, all the medicines, first they experiment materials to plant, to pick up, and then first experiment, then they have evidence. And then you can to give to the patients which kind of sickness it can works. And almost it is like the doctors can give guarantees. Surely it works. Of course, there are still not omniscient. You can to make mistake, but almost at 100%, you don't know in the result. Very much mysterious. Today you give medicine, but the consequence is very much inference, and infer is the future's consequence. But science, the evidence of your medicine is like firmly analyzed for this kind of sicknesses. This medicine works very well, and you can almost to give the guarantees. Or, for example, doctors to find the sickness first time to check. That is now I recognize the signal. It's like the signal. How do you say? It's like also it's in the European side, the doctors when they check the symptom. Not it's like a diagnosis. Diagnosis, you say? Diagnosis, and which kind of the sickness? To first time to check through the machine, blood test, and then it's discovered this sickness obviously, direct, and then they can to tell the future. You need to eat this kind of food. You need to do exercise like this. You need to take this kind of medicines, and that is like a future, the kind of a valid, valid of the cure, or the result is doctors telling to you. But then he said, doctor, you are the omniscient. How you can to know about them? Because we already experiment. And it's like we have this experience. And through relatively, we took this medicine and to give this kind of, to combine how it is the works. Then it's the works very well, inevitably. And this is kind of the 100% give you guarantee it works. Like exactly same. Generally we talking about the Buddha Shakyamuni is a great doctor. He gives us all the teachings, it's like kind of medicines. And then in the teachings you do like this, next times you can slowly to purify it, not physically illness, mentally illness of the disturbing emotions, obscurations, these are like, then you can to cured. After you become a completely cured and mentally, and then you become like the best healthy person of the enlightenment. And therefore, this is also causalities. This is like telling to all the Dharma medicines, and the teaching of the medicines is like we can to do like this, not really eating by the mouth, but to listen, contemplating, and then it's like connect to the, of course, conduct of the body verbally, and then it's like, then become the healthy, we can to say like this. And therefore, this is a very important evidence. Current, what we have evidence. And evident is to make in the evidation, I don't know, evidences, or now, how do you say? Evidence, yes? Okay, evidence through the conceptual minds, direct valid cognitions to see the direct valid relative things, and which kind of materials. For example, this kind of like materials you cannot call the wood, but why not? I can't call this is a piece of the wood. No, come on, it's not wood, because we experiment wood and this is material. The like kind of the property of the characteristics completely different. You cannot call the wood. This is the like some different couple or different materials. This quality is the word. Word is like this. And then it's like no confusions. No confusions, and really direct to analyze. And like this, and then is in the Buddhist perspective, of course, concerning the worldly. Worldly also is like a kind of which is we need to pursue, which kind of we need to avoid. Absolutely through this logically, through the syllogisms, through the analysis, through the like kind of investigations, and we are like directly to researching. But it is like, for example, in the scientific perspective, they haven't got this kind of the knowledge. They haven't got this kind of logicals. They only measure by the calculations. And by only the like kind of the maybe it's like that. Of course, same times now it's like chemistries. It's like a chemical. The things are the more like this kind of. But they only look in the materials, outer things. It's not the kind of the positive and negatives. And in the Buddha's perspective, of course, this is the temporary. This is relative. This is like kind of the beside things. But it's ultimately, this kind of research is kind of the giving the information of the causalities. And if someone's to taking care of the causalities, more important than caring to the material things. If you are taking care of the causalities, beside that, materials is more easy, more workable, more touchable, more kind of the possible things. And the like kind of causalities, something yesterday in the teaching says it's like material, substance things, substance and impute. Impute thing is like indirect. Impute things is very difficult to understand because how we can to show, how we can to bring, to knocking down something. It's like we can to say that the nature of the computers in the temporarily, in the relatively, is emptiness because it's momentary. How you say the emptiness? Impermanent. How I can to know about impermanent? Obvious it is impermanent, but we cannot touch impermanent. Say impermanent, but how I can to show? This is not impermanent. Impermanent is not substance. It is the impute and like kind of mentally we need to concern him. This is mentally things is like very difficult to accept or to understand. And that is like for Buddha's purpose. It's like kind of syllogism in the Buddha's teachings perspective. It is not a kind of materials like substance you put together like this, then it's like a result is like this. If you two things are coming together, and then you can create the nuclear bombs. And to these things you can create plastic, not like this. There is existent, but also very much caring about that, because it's like, of course, this science signals, science or the contraction, I don't know, but it's you put something is together and there is a new result, obviously. But this is also, we need something is pursue, necessary in our society. Sometimes no necessary, negative things happened, it can destroy everything. And therefore materials. But mentally, even in the mentally, something important things. For example, impermanent, really the causalities. Is a positive causalities, negative causalities. Okay, for example, if I'm killed, in the substantially, I'm using my hand, salt or something, and to kill the one beings. Okay, substantially you to see it. But that moment, how you can to say so, like this one is like, okay, you killed. Then this is the result, this is the inevitable. If you use something to hit to others, other one's going to die. But then it's like beside there is the imputed, something is the consequence, like kind of untouchable through only the kind of the mentalism. If you more analyze, you're through the anger, this you reacted, you kill to the others, other sentient being, other ones, how much is suffering? And the killer, murder itself, maybe is do not know. Oh, I killed the animals, but animals has really suffering or not? I don't know. They don't know about the sufferings because this person is mind is this beings. It is not mine. I haven't got any. Okay, for example, some hunters when they shooting some animal, wild animals, and they are like kind of ruling through in the mountains. They say, ha ha ha, look. It is fun. And then they go to hold in the head, the big animals I killed, putting in the YouTubes or something. For them it's the fun, but the dead and dying animal or the beings, how much is suffering? We don't know. And then there's a consequence, influence. Influence absolutely indirect. For example, we can say academic or it's something sickness. and something there is like a kind of radius, and this sort of like you can't touch, you can't see, you can't hear, but there is energy, there is like influence. This is the obvious, exactly the same like this, the causalities. You do like this, consequences definitely is coming. You should, we say, you should to know about that, because it's the inevitable. And then it's like the reason of the causes all the time is produce the affect. Affect is all the time dependent for the cause. You do negative things, next time is you receive the negative, 100%. Then it's like this, to understand that, and even the wordly, in the wordly, we can to learn, what we need to pursue, what we need to avoid, fantastically. Then it's like Dharma practitioners to really, to honor it precisely, truthfully, and to analyze the relative things. Then you don't need to ask someone to telling to us, or someone is like this and that, and yeah. But I think it's the relative things. I know very well what is the correct, what is the incorrect. These things I know very well. Then it's like you are not depend something else. And afterwards, you as the relatively, what you are needed to do, what you cannot to do, like this kind of. We have our own discipline, self-discipline, self-controls, self-manage. And then it's like what we need to do. We have these knowledges. Then it's become the marvelousism. We all the time depend to the others. All the time need to rely on the others. Then we very much confusions. It is like, how do you say, like a little bit kind of the news. Or sometimes, news say the good, maybe it's good. Or news said bad, or maybe it's bad. For ourselves, we cannot to check ourselves, we cannot to follow the reasons. That is the kind of problems. Therefore, in the relative informations, precisely to study these three mode, three type of the science, evidence, and to really establish it is the realities. And also this evidence. And now we can choose the result of the evidence, and result of the evidence, maybe we can to say is like, I want to say different. The result of the continuation of the appearances, like according to that result, you can to establish natural reason. Natural reason is means there is a continuation of the like appearances occurring. And that perspective, it is not kind of nihilistic. That perspective, there are something source, the source of things. And then is how I can do. And also it is the source of that cannot observe it. And it's not observe means it's like a little bit like an imputed way. For example, I want to say it's like in the front here there's no any kind of croissants, and I cannot to preserve the croissants in my like kind of tables, but I can to say it's like croissant itself is not something else. There is existence, maybe in the kitchen, maybe it's something else, but in the presently there's you can't preserve it. And but it's like indirectly, it's you can to say it's like you can to seize. That's one is like a no kind of the observant. It is like a little bit, maybe it's difficult, but maybe we can to say it's like in the front of my desk, and this desk is like the signal, or before we say the feature of the object, and there is I cannot the observe it croissant, because you cannot to see it. No, like cannot observe means you cannot to see it. Do you have this one? And I think science, which is the non-observation of the suitable to appears. They translated like this, but maybe it's possible to appear, Croissant is appeared, but in that moment, I cannot observe on the front of the me. That is the reason, okay? Like not observed. Not observed. When a thing is not observed, or it is the positive, it seems. Something is negated for the reason that is cannot be observed. Like this, there are the three types of the evidence. Or the most important is the natural reasons, according the results. Here is the result of the first sign, okay? The evidence of the smoke. Smoke is the result of the fires. And therefore, I think they said is the first reason for the cause. Cause is like the fires making the cause for the smoke. And then it's a smoke is the result. Then it's like this, the smoke, according this smoke, and we can to use this three mode. Three modes to establish really the fire itself. For example, as the result of the smoke, and according that, I can to say it's like 100% definitively, and there is a fires, because it's like you can to tell into in the futures, and therefore natural reason it is in doubt this three mode. Okay, it's complicated, yes, a little bit. Allah, three mode. Three mode. Allah. Which one? Yes, I understand. You mean example of which one is for example, is the first result, okay? Evidence result. Evident the natural reason. Evident no observers. These three like evidence.
Which one do you want to keep? Sign, evidence, reason? Because changing all the time is difficult to understand.
Please use the microphone.
It's okay. Now we can say that the relative things, the direct valid cognition is we already studied. Okay, finished. Now we are like studying the inferent valid cognitions. Okay, inferent valid cognitions establishing inferent valid things, which is the maybe absolute, or that maybe it is like a kind of the futures, like abstracts. It is like functionable, it is worked, but it's untouchable, unseen. And you can't see, you can't touch, you can, like a causality, okay? The consequence of the causality is, like it's also very good. Last time is the Abhisamaya Lomkara says the impermanent, it is the impute. Impute means it's like you just say it, give label, impute. You cannot to see. Impermanent is the changing process, we cannot to see it, okay? But impermanent is there is, absolutely. It's like the need to establish that. Then is this kind of the indirect. Now, direct, indirect, direct, indirect. Indirect things, how we can to know about that? Through basically direct things. And how it is says, like, and this is the logical, is the result of the cause of the fire is the smoke. The result, according the science of the smoke, I can to tell you that there is the fires. Because it's like one is smoke, so there's 100% surely. If water birds, we can to see the surround, there is the water. And you can't to see yet. You haven't got direct to see the water, but you can through these signals, signs, then you can to establish water, establish the fire. Yes? That is the indirect. Exactly like this, things are the first to look at the result. And other translate, they say the cause. I don't know why they say the cause, okay? It's the result. Talk is the evidence. Look in our books, it's called the evidence. Okay, in Tibet it's a talk, lots of us. You look in Tibet it's a talk means evidence. And sometimes they translate the signal, signs, okay? And therefore, you can to look there is talk, evidence. This is the evidence. Evidence. Can you find evidence? And in Tibet there is the talk. Before we use the signal, okay? Signal. For example, the feature of the subject also sometimes is like a sign, signal. And then here is also they call the result. And also this is like the evident result. And the signs of the smoke. And then I understand the smoke. According that, I understand the fires. And then is through that, then we need to all phenomena, how it is the works. The signs of the like a consequence. For example, barley. And there's many different examples. Can you find something examples? Nice examples like this. For example, like this, and then definitively can result like this. And you can to tell the indirect things. Can you say something? Toma, yes?
Microphone, please.
Yeah, no, yeah, Chloe.
Those three reasons, they need to be used together or independently of each other?
You can use the one signal.
Only one is enough.
You can do one signal and you use this three type of the evidence.
So we need to use the three types of evidence at the same time for one
To use in order to understand the indirect things, and then you can to apply these three evidence.
Would you mind giving the example, for instance, for the fire and the smoke?
Okay, the smoke is the result. And then is on the fire you can to apply the word of the natural reason. Natural reason. This is called the natural evidence. Okay, natural evidence, how you can to say is, this fire is according to the signal of the fires, and there is the fire, if you say, it's a natural reason you are saying. Natural reason to say that, and because of the smoke.
Like animal imprints? And we know that these animals live in this place.
Animal?
If you have print.
For example, footprints of some animals, and then we know that they live in this place.
Food printer of the animals.
Hoofprints.
Okay, hoof printing animals, then?
Then we know that they live in this place.
Oh, yeah. This is like, for example, any kind of animals hoof printing. Like a research of the tiger and lions, bears, wolves. And they look at, there is a printer. Surely there is the wolf or something. This is very good, is science. Because this quoting these signals, and then, for example, if you say, which kind of you have evidence? Because these signals, and then this signal, it is which kind of you are searching. Elephants, phantom, the feet puntings. Hoof punting, okay? Hoof is more like the yaks. Elephant is, you can't say the hoof. Really? Okay. And also humans, you can't say. Hoof puntings. Okay, hoof puntings. Huh? Uh-huh.
Then we can know that this is the time when birds have babies, for example.
This kind of, you can to say is, the signal, maybe natural reason is the science of the hoof punting, or the smoke, or the water birds. You establish perfectly water, fire, or these animals. Then it's like this is the natural logic, natural reason. Okay? Okay. Then others? And third one is like you can't see that, and you can't see. This is like no observed. But when you see the smoke, that moment you cannot observe fire. Yes, but you can to establish the fire. Definitively in the future you can to have appearances of the fire.